Welcome to the Rainbow Trends introduction video to our liquidation engine. This is a tool that we've been working on for well over 7 months, making sure that we got it right. And it's been quite a journey to get this thing running. It's 2,000 lines of code, and we've gone through a bunch of headaches trying to get this thing implemented and optimized with inside of TradingView, but we're finally at the point where we're releasing it this month. So we're writing up all the tutorials and releasing tutorial videos like the one we're doing now, and updating the website, and it should be rolling out fairly soon, so keep posted on our Twitter and or Discord. But considering how advanced this tool is, I wanted to do a very long, in-depth video and go over every single option that this has and try to explain what all this thing can do. Starting off with liquidation theory, whales want to hunt liquidations. They want to send everybody an email saying that they were liquidated. That's both sides of the books. They're always looking to burn whoever's vulnerable and stuck in a position. They'll send liquidation emails to bulls or bears, doesn't matter, and they constantly hunt them down. Now, with that being said, no one besides the exchanges knows where you're going to be liquidated. There's a bunch of reasons for that. That knowledge, that data is not publicly available. There's some data that's published live, but for the most part, and thankfully, they don't publish exact to the penny where you get liquidated. But with some very, very advanced calculations in math, we can have this liquidity engine watch the market, figure out where the large bids were, and calculate and keep tally of where all the bids are, the longs and the shorts, and try to figure out where are the levels at which these positions do not make sense anymore and likely got liquidated. As you can see here, this is a 5-minute Bitcoin chart on Binance Perpetuals, and I'm going to start walking through this as we go. Long story short, these horizontal lines indicate an open position. These positions up here are shorts, and when you see the lines disappear, that means that they were liquidated per the calculations. And what you can see is the whales moving back and forth in this range. Right now, Bitcoin's going sideways, not doing much, but there are people that are over leveraged and they're getting chopped up and liquidated by these whales over and over and over. So what these whales want to do is push the price down just enough to get you to capitulate and liquidate, and then move price back up and try to get to the other side. So if you know where these levels are, you can see them as barriers and or magnets, which will draw price action to. So as you can see here, price started to fall down, and then shorts started opening up. And you can see which price came all the way down. They took out this long, liquidated it, and moved all the way back up and started liquidating the shorts. It's a vicious cycle, but it repeats. But luckily, with this much math and these much calculations, this can put the traders ahead of the game, and you can actually tune and see what these whales are doing and where they're doing it. So that's the basic rundown of the longs versus shorts. One thing I would note, you can notice that some of these lines are different widths. There's 4 different widths to the line. The thicker the line is, the larger the position that's been detected. And you notice that the chart itself is not covered with thousands and thousands of lines. There's thousands of trades happening every second, but this algorithm only detects large anomalies. And then once those anomalies, that threshold's crossed, it gives you a line thickness depending on which size it determines it really is. So, if it barely crosses the threshold, it's going to be these really thin lines. If it's a medium-sized bid, it's going to be these. And then you can see these much larger, fatter bids. Those are the very, very large positions that get hunted. Obviously, the whales want to hunt the larger positions a little bit more, so it gives us a kind of a visual clue as to what is larger. Since I'm already kind of pointing at it, this is the table for the Liquidation Engine Levels tool. This is the Delta tool down here, so we'll just focus on this for a little bit. But there's a summary table here that calculates the total numbers of shorts, the totals of numbers of long, and then the delta. The delta is the difference between the two. So what it's telling us right now is there are negative 52 on the delta. That means there's more shorts than longs. So that gives you an idea. You can start getting these trades going to where it turns into all shorts or just all longs, and you'll see the whales position and liquidate the other side of the book when they get that trapped. It's just something to keep an eye out. But that's the long story short of this simple table. It's basically just calculating the number of lines that are still open. When these lines get liquidated, they get removed from this position and you can't see it anymore. So let me go through the settings here. There's quite a bit. In general, you're going to want to look at this stuff on lower time frames. You can look at it on higher time frames, but For this type of chop and these type of stuff, most people go down to like the 15, 5-minute, 2-minute type time frame, sometimes 1 minute if the data can load. Um, and when I say data load, this, like I said, this is like 2,000 lines of code. This thing takes a long time to populate. So if the lines don't show up, go to a higher time frame or try it again. The TradingView servers have to do a ton of math to populate all this. So we can start with the basic engine here, and I want to go through some things. So like I said, the sensitivity filter, this is our first option here. When I say the engine itself, it's looking for bids that it considers an I guess kind of an outlier. Give me 1 second, I gotta clear my throat. And what this does is, once it detects a threshold to which it considers the bid to be somewhat of an outlier, that's when it actually gets marked as a line. And then from there, the size of how far it goes past that level, it'll assign the different thicknesses. But the overall sensitivity can be adjusted here. So let's knock this down to 25 and give it a second to load. You see the little eye here, that's telling you that the math is being ran on the back end. And note that these calculations are done on TradingView servers, not your computer. So it's not your computer's fault that the trades or the calculations take a long time. It's just the lag of the servers, and it is what it is. But you'll see when the sensitivity comes down, there should be a lot more positions. But give it a second and we will see. But with the base setting is 25, and you can move it both ways, up or down. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, this is a lot of math. And then when I said those 4 levels, you can individually turn the levels here off as well. Yeah, ran too long. Let's go the other way. So if you get that little red explanation point, that means that the calculation took too long and it can't process the results. You just have to try again. So we increase the sensitivity, and you can see the data looks a bit different. We can even go further and knock these down, and you'll see the overall numbers start to go down as well. So there's much less detections here. And what we've done is we've increased the threshold for the detection up, so it makes it harder for it to detect prints. But we'll go back to the default 50, and you can see here's all our golden levels that we were watching earlier. We'll just try 35, because what's happening is when we put the number down too low, it's just too many lines and it's doing too much calculations. And unfortunately, TradingView has a timeout feature. I think it's 30 seconds or 45 seconds, something like that on the premium accounts. If you go past that, it shuts down the calculation. But either way, we can move on regardless if it doesn't populate, because it's not terribly important for the tutorial, but I do want to give it a shot just to show. But the individual thicknesses of the lines, these are controlled here from small, medium, large, and huge. And let this finish calculating. I'll show it real quick. We'll just move on. Let's put that back to 50. So 50 is our golden standard. So I'm going to filter out these fat lines and make them disappear. Let it start calculating, and you'll see it'll only show the smaller bids once it repopulates. I can't stress this enough. It is a lot of math and slows this tool down. So now you can see the big bids are removed. You can go even further. And every time you adjust one of these things, it's going to redo the entire calculation. So typically find your settings and just stay with those if you want to do that. So you can see that. And if we wanted to only focus on the large bids, we can do the same here and just go to large. But it's really interesting to see these prices go and hit all these levels and then they stop. Like it's downright spooky to see price almost to the penny stop on these wicks. It's really cool to see. So we'll put all those back to normal. Another thing I noticed and wanted to show you guys is these liquidation levels as well. So one of the other things that's not publicly available I need to point out is the exchanges themselves do not publish what your liquidation level is. They also don't publish what your liquidation leverage setting is at either. If you've put $10 million on 125x, they're not going to say that it's on 125x and get you hunted. So for the most part, and how we did this is we've calculated this to show 5x positions, 10x positions, 25x, and 50s. And for default settings, we only run these on red and greens for longs versus shorts. But if you click this, you can go to multiple colors. And that unlocks these colors. So you can see that 50x longs are reds, 50x shorts are greens, 25x longs are orange, 25x shorts are blue, and so forth, and it goes down the table. So let this repopulate and you can see the coloring. For me personally, it's a bit much on the colors, so I typically don't use it, but I keep the defaults, but you can see the different projection levels here with different colors. So, and these are your 5x projections here, your 10x, your 25, your 50, right? So that's how that works, and that explains those. And if you only want to focus on like the 5x's, you can totally do the same thing here. Disable these, and it's only going to put the pink and the whites, and that's totally fine. So which all these will disappear, right? And we'll only see the pinks and the whites. Which on higher time frames you will see those hit. But right now we're completely going sideways, so it's only the high leverage guys that are getting liquidated right now. Another thing, you can also customize your colors. So if you want oranges, you want blues, you can do these settings as well. It'll recalculate those things with those colors, and we can go from there. But give it a second because I do want to show it live in case anybody has any questions. Like I said, always watch that eye. That's what's telling you the calculation's being done. And now the colors are there. I think later on I may switch it up to where you can control the thicknesses as well, but just stay tuned for that. So the last thing we have is the table. You can actually disable the table, turn the table back on. You can switch the location of the table. You can switch the size of it as well. And you can also change the colors. So if people that want to have very particular looking charts, you can change it to however you like. Let's do something goofy, purple, red and purple. So yeah, looks awful, but you can do that and make it different positions. So anyway, that's the base tool. I'm going to set it back to defaults. And like I said, with all of our tools, play with them, try to break them, do whatever you want with them. At the end of the day, you can't screw them up. Go back to defaults, reset your settings, and it'll all go back to defaults and you can try again, right? So while this calculates the levels of the positions and this calculates the total number of bids, we also want to have a calculation of the total dollar amount, right, as well. So that's what this delta does down here. At all times, there's an X amount of dollars associated with the number of shorts, and there's an X dollar amount associated with the number of longs. This tool focuses on what is that dollar amount in terms of delta. So what this is telling me here, you can see, for the most part, this chart, there were more longs than shorts. Now, right now, there are more shorts than longs. On this move down, multiple shorts were opened. I'm sorry, they're up here. Multiple shorts were opened, and now the delta is in the red. And according to this, there is a delta of 5.2 billion, negative 5.2 billion. So what it's saying is there's 238 shorts, there's 216 longs, there's 52 short positions more than there are longs, and that delta is $5.2 billion on Binance right now. Note this is exchange specific, so make sure you look at the exchanges that you're focused on. In particular, Binance has the best data and the most volume, so I typically stay there, but if you want to look at Bybit, etc., that totally is fine too. But long story short, that's what this tool does. It keeps track of the dollar position of that delta right here. So the delta here, is, like I said, is only the number of positions. This is the dollar amount associated with it. Now, these two tools can't talk to each other. So if you turn these settings up to say like 75, you will notice that the delta changes here. So give it a second to calculate. The delta is now 64, but this dollar amount didn't change. So if you adjust that sensitivity threshold, make sure that you do that here. The same thing, if you filter out any of the levels, the bid sizes, or if you're filtering out 10x positions, 25x positions, it will affect the deltas as well. So make sure that you keep all these in line with this. Unfortunately, I can't sync the two tools, but it just is what it is. But it's very simple. Typically, most people won't mess with these once they get everything set how they like it. The other thing you will notice is I have a table display millions or per $1,000. Some of the lower cap leverage positions will just show 0 on the $1 million amount. So you can turn this into thousands of dollars. So basically a K value instead of an M. And it'll adjust that. For Bitcoin, it's kind of silly. You don't want to do that, but that option's there. So anyway, that's the tool. That's how, that's all the settings, all the filters. I don't have it locked down. So if you do run this on non-leveraged positions, it will still look at the books and assume it is a leveraged trading book and give you levels. And I've actually seen some people use this on like the S&P 500, use this on spot coins on Coinbase, and they still get great levels out of it. The math holds true. But some of the examples here I just kind of want to run you through is, let me erase all this. Let me switch all this back to defaults, and we can just run through it one more time. What you're going to see with this tool is where people are vulnerable. And the whales don't care. The whales want vulnerability in the books. They want to hunt down what's the easiest positions to hunt down, and they want to send people liquidations emails. Remember, this is an unregulated trading area. These people are out to kill. They will liquidate anybody. They don't care, right? So if you're vulnerable, they will come get you. And what this was somebody who longed this. They FOMO'd here and they longed, and that's their liquidation level. The bulls or the whales came in, liquidated them, and then moved back up. On the flip side, when this wick came down, someone FOMO longed it, and that's what this position is. I'm sorry, FOMO shorted. My bad. So, like I said, this pumped up, someone FOMO longed it, whales came back down, liquidated them. When this wick came down, someone FOMO shorted this wick thinking price was going to go lower. It was a trap. They came back up, liquidated that position. So going through this timeline on 5-minute candles, you can see that they took out this position. They took out that long. They took out that short. On these candles down, people opened up short positions as well. They came up, tagged that, and they did one last pump up here. And you can see like it's to the T. They're coming in and hunting these guys down, right? They don't have to spend a lot of time to liquidate you. They just have to tap that price. And that's what you're seeing here is the whales are going to the exact level and liquidating it and then pulling back. So what you're going to be able to do is watch these levels and see if you can catch these wicks, and it's going to put you ahead of the game. Something you normally wouldn't be able to see, especially on like 5 minutes. So it's kind of interesting, kind of cool to see. And Sunday markets are opening up, or Monday morning Asia markets are opening right now. So we're about to see all that happen. Let me show you another chart real quick, and then I'll wrap this up. I think it's no alt. Nope. Hold on. Let's control it too. Yep. So this is an Ethereum chart, and you can see somewhat the same story. You've got wicks here. When these wicks were forming this downward move, people started opening shorts on this move down, and that's what these are. Shorts are opening, and then price moved back up, chopped those guys out of their position. There was also on this move down a large position here opened up as a short, and they worked all the way up to tap it, came all the way back down, came back all the way to fully liquidate that position. And now they're moving back down currently, going into Monday morning open in Tokyo. They're coming down and hunting these positions here, which are longs. So anyway, that is the 20-minute summary of how these tools work. If you have any questions, catch us on the Discord, catch us on the website. All of our links are there. We answer all DMs, and we're glad to help you guys out and hopefully have this tool fully rolled out shortly. But yeah, I'm really excited to see it. This physically hurt program, but glad it's here, glad it's finally done, and glad we're able to do it in TradingView so that we can show it along with all of our other tools. Some of the beta testers right now are actually finding some really interesting combos with some of the RSI tools and the pivots. It's just really cool to see. But anyway, this is Rainbow Runner out. I will catch you guys next time.